Stephen or Stefan?
Steven.
Stephen. So this is Stephen's show,
Yeah.
so we're going to let him take the, yeah.
I never ever had anyone mispronounce my name until like 5 years ago.
Really?
It's the weirdest thing ever. But now it is almost a daily occurrence. So I
Well,
guess I don't know. I just look different now or something. People think Stefan now.
it's the wild look. That's what it is. It's like the Steppenwolf kind of character. That's what it is.
Yeah. Perfect. So I had what do you guys think about the Three Technoteers? Like the
Sounds
Three
good to me.
Musketeers.
Just as good as
Three
anything else, man.
Technoteers, yeah,
Yeah, I
sure,
All
like
right,
it.
yeah.
cool.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, well, let's roll with that then. So I figure like we'll basically just like talk about like any kind of cool tech news and stuff that each of us sees.
Okay.
We could just do this like on a weekly basis. Um, so just like if you see any kind of cool tech stuff, tech news, or just any some cool tech release or something. I don't want to like advertise products or anything like that.
Yeah, no,
But
that's
like
cool. Yeah.
if it's cool, then let's talk about it.
All right. Sounds
So
good.
uh yeah. And speaking of cool, um, well, I don't know how cool this part of it is, but Starlink they're starting to they're gonna like lower their orbits like 50 miles or something from where they're at now. That way, all the bad ones will go down a lot faster because there's a lot of bad ones. Um, but I actually saw this is cool. I actually saw the apparently is the second stage of a Starlink launch while it's ascending to orbit. I saw it back December 8th, and I had ChatGPT do a bunch of research and like confirm it. Like, what the heck did I see up in the sky? Just and, like it was this little pinpoint of light, and then this little poof cloud around it. And yeah, apparently there was a Starlink launch that people across Texas, Oklahoma, and a couple other states they could see the second stage when it vented some of its gases. So that was pretty cool. I'd never seen that before. I didn't know at first if it was. I thought it was just like an airplane coming through clouds or something, but there wasn't any clouds.
Hmm.
So that
Yeah.
you know made me think. I better do a little bit more research on what this is. And it wasn't a meteor coming in, didn't break up into a bunch of pieces or anything like that. It wasn't a satellite re-entering or anything. Uh, and so yeah, figured out. Had ChatGPT do research, and a couple weeks afterwards, and found out that's what it was a Starlink launch. So
Pretty
that was
cool.
pretty cool.
Nah,
Yeah.
yeah, throw that out there too. I guess to piggyback is that one thing I was reading on. It was probably a couple of years ago when he first transferred everything to Texas when he was getting out of California and stuff. But and I mean, and that was probably just with Tesla and his giga plant and all that stuff. But one of the things that I had read was that he was looking at purchasing like abandoned oil rig stations in the Gulf of Mexico. And I don't know if that like continued
That's
on, which is
I
really like a really smart move in my opinion, just because being able to launch and land, right?
yeah.
That's his major objective, to be able to save everything and reuse it. But I don't know I haven't heard anything else besides that rumor that he was talking about purchasing those. So I don't know if maybe it was a test site launch and then it crossed over towards the West Coast, to try and launch out that way. I don't know.
I know anything they
Well, the
can do to
one
get
I
closer to the
saw,
equator is good. Go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. The one I saw launched from Trinity. But I
Okay.
think I heard something about that where they were thinking about using it for the Starship launches, uh, for the oil rigs. Um, but I think they decided against it a couple years back.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to do research, but I might be thinking of something, some other ocean thing they were thinking about doing. But I'm pretty sure it was the oil rigs that they had eventually decided against. But
Okay.
yeah, because I mean, it was just the infrastructure because they're wanting to get people on the starships, and the infrastructure of
Sure.
getting people 50 miles out into the ocean to get loaded onto a starship was just, I think it was just going to be too much of a hassle or something. So
Uh, yeah, so I do stand corrected, just obviously with a quick little Google search. So you purchased them in 2020, but then decided to recycle them and everything else in 23. Stated that it
mm,
was unstable, too unpredictable. So
yeah,
I stand
yeah,
corrected.
I guess I
Interesting.
could see that. I mean,
Neat idea,
whatever.
though.
Thanks for the soft. They're not exactly a stable environment.
Right. Right.
So
So, Tony,
what's on y'all's minds today?
today I have um, I'm trying to wrap up a bunch of rotation math for a motion capture system. It's
Oh,
been
neat.
on the back burner for a long time, and I'm trying to get this new update out. And it's just a whole lot of math, and I am procrastinating. Yep. Um,
Yeah.
it's it's unfortunately it has a long it's a lot of work that then I have to test and validate in order to go back and perform more of the work. And so it's not something that I can automate too easily at the moment. I've automated everything I could. And so at this point, it's the manual I have to put on the equipment and then basically go move around and then take all that recording and then compare that to video of me moving around to see where it's mismatching and a whole lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes into this mocap stuff that hopefully my users will never ever ever have to worry about or know about. Hopefully for them they'll put on their
Yeah,
headset, they'll do the thing, and it'll be like, oh, this is just how it should work. That's the plan.
yeah. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, honestly.
Yep.
Hmm.
I've got other projects, but I on some things when it's something like this, I have to just kind of stay focused on it, or I won't get it actually done. And there are a lot of more interesting things that my brain wants to go look at and think about, but I just have to put on my blinders, kind of sit here
Yeah.
and just do the boring stuff.
That's how that kind of stuff is for me. Like if I don't just sit down and just focus only on that, I'll never be able to even like wrap my brain around like the concepts I'm trying to
Yeah.
work with and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, I think
the ADHD doesn't help with trying to wrap your brain around stuff.
that's literally what I was just about to say. Like the ADHD world that we all live in, which that
Yep.
drives a lot of tech guys, right? I mean, that's like the biggest thing that everybody can relate to is that this ADHD world. One of the things that like I've tried some stuff like I've done like not that rabbit trail or anything, but like I've done some like ashwagandha and L-theanine, and I've kind of noticed I take those on the daily, and because before I would start a project, stop project, I pull the 80-20, 80% done and then I move on, 80% done and
Yeah,
then I move on, and
yeah, yeah.
so I've found that by taking these supplements that like on a routine, it actually has helped me out a lot to see the end in sight and finish these projects. And but I definitely understand the same concept. I mean, actually, like Stephen, I've sent you photos and stuff. I've purchased. I buy a lot of broken stuff and I fix it kind of deal, and I kind of flip it or whatever, or I use it for myself. And one of my biggest projects right now is like I bought back in July this 3D printer that I had purchased from an auction site and drove out about
Oh,
3 hours to
that
go
big
get it.
one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, dude, that thing is massive.
It's massive. It's huge. It's it was bigger. It was bigger when I showed up. I thought, okay, this is going to be a decent size. Like, And then when I showed up, luckily I brought a big enough trailer because it was as wide as a car hauler. When I
Lord.
did the research on the way there to go pick it up, because it was kind of like a, not, I shouldn't say sight unseen, but went and picked it up, and it was like, it's 1,000 pound unit. And so it was like, me and one other person are not
Dude,
lifting this thing up,
yeah.
and
You
I ended
forklift
up
it up?
having, yeah, I did forklift it up
Yeah.
into the trailer, and then I actually lucked out on having a couple of car ramps and stuff here, and
Yeah.
some wood to be able
Mhm.
to roll it off, and it's on casters, of course, so that's a
Oh,
plus.
well,
But
that's cool.
yeah, so like one of my biggest projects right now is trying to finish this 3D printer that is an all-in-one unit, curing station and all, wash station, and
That's cool.
yeah, it's super cool. But yeah, so I ended up finding out like one of the things on that is like the operating system, which is still a Windows XP based system, which, hands down, I love that system. It's the one we all grew up on pretty much.
Oh yeah.
And so having my organized hoarding abilities, I actually just last week re-downloaded and redid everything else, from a Windows XP Pro, and reinstalled all their programs and stuff. So that's where I'm at now is, redoing that and updating it, because truth be told, it actually had an HDMI output and it was set up as a VGA output. So I ordered
Mm.
all that to update that and be able to hard mount a monitor, and because it's an internal PC, so it's super nice, all inclusive. I
Yeah.
mean, but I scored it for a crazy deal I couldn't pass up, and yeah, so I'm really hoping for some big things out of that. At worst case scenario, it would be a great flip and maybe move into, put that money towards something else. That would be ideal to
Yeah.
get
Oh
like
yeah,
a
for
metal
sure.
3D printer,
Yeah.
take that money as a down payment, because those metal 3D printers are definitely expensive. But
So, what are you wanting to make with the one you have now? Like what's your
um,
goal with that one other than flipping it?
I mean, honestly, the the sky's the limits on these. Like, so to give an estimate, like to tell you, like, your basic like Ender 3 Pro, which are like $150 now, tabletop, does like I think it's 100 to 300 micron. So you kind of see your layers, right? So this
Yeah.
thing does I think it does down to 8 micron, and the human hair is 14 micron. So if that gives you an
Bro.
idea of like there's no layers, right? So, and be able to do all that. So it's kind of, I don't know. I didn't really have a goal to, it was really just like, if I wanted to create something, I could. And honestly, what started this journey was, I hate buying stuff so retail, right? Like, we're such a throwaway country and
Yeah.
stuff. So I hate buying stuff so retail. So what started this was I was actually looking for replacement lenses on my 74 Nova, and OEM on eBay was $200. And I joined a few groups because I also am building a custom motor that
Mm.
isn't really, it's not available production wise. It's a 406 motor, and so it's like a race motor that they use a lot on dirt tracks and stuff. And so I've seen these guys on these other groups showing that like they're making custom badges. So they're 3D printing like 406 SS, badges that go on the side of the vehicles, and
Yeah.
they're chrome plating them, so they're metal plating them through the process and all that. And it looks really good. And so I'm like, hey, I reached out. I said, has anybody done any tail lights? And with them, I reached out to three different companies that were doing it, and all of them said no, because everything is a PLA that they print, and then it's all layered. So by them doing that, it it wouldn't look the best, right? It would look
Yeah.
3D
Yeah.
printed, and you'd have to do a lot of work to to make it smooth and stuff. And so
Yeah. I've
I
tried printing with some transparent filament before, and it doesn't work. I mean, it kind of
right.
looks cool, but it's not You can't see through it. Like,
Right, right.
Hmm.
So yeah, so then I had started looking into resin printing, and nobody was doing
yeah.
resin printing because this is also probably 5 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And so no one was doing resin printing. It wasn't really affordable, and you had very small, tabletop setups that you could do it in. And so that's kind of what started that journey. And so it was like, well, I started looking in, and I had this opportunity to go to this auction site, and through my company, and they make custom parts And this really stood out to me because it base setup, you're allowed 4 chemicals to run at the same time. So you could do like for your structures, support wise, you can
The
do
4 chemicals for the filaments, or well, I
yes,
guess
yep,
resin, so it's not filament,
resin,
but
yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, so then you have your water base, so it'll wash away so if you have anything for structure wise, you need supports, you can have it as a wash away. Then they have other
that's
ones that
cool.
can
Yeah.
do silicone. So like the other thing, their main product that they were producing for us was to bag pickup. So they 3D print hollow, it would be your resin to like 1/4 inch uh inlet, but then it would be threaded so it could thread onto a pipe, and then it'd be a 1/2 inch wrench on the outside so you can use the wrench to do it through. But then on top of the print, that would be the last part, but the beginning part would be a silicone suction cup. So they would print by the dozens of these all the time for the
Yeah.
company because they're constantly ripping them and stuff like that, constant usage. So it was better off for them to purchase these systems and build their own. And so they would do it all on one print. And that to me stood out like, well, if I could do that, what else could I do? And so like
Yeah.
one thing that I had looked at was there's a chemical from them that they make, and it's super expensive, but it's like aluminum alloy shavings inside of it. So you would basically, if you wanted to print oversize and then cook off that resin, right? You'd kiln it and then cook off that resin. You could have a metal structure, and so that's
Oh,
something
that's
that I
cool.
was just going to mess around with too.
Like without
Um,
using a metal 3D printer.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Huh. That's cool.
Yeah.
Huh. Hey, yeah,
But yeah, I mean,
go.
my intentions on purchasing it, yeah, sure, flipping it would be nice, but I mean, the chemicals and stuff, I got to figure out a way how they work because it looks like for the chemical cartridges, they're coiled so as a capacitor, so it knows when it's at zero, right? And
Uh,
so when you can't just like fill these bags up with new resin, you have to purchase it from them. And per package, like low end is like $400 a piece. So it's kind of hard to justify like keeping it and building all these things, and it is
yeah.
a prototype printer. So like having the availability of 4 different colors, like one of their examples was them 3D printing how a jet turbine works and then having multiple colors and stuff like that. And then everything is a full rotating assembly. So you can see how it works. And so it was like, okay, that's really cool, but where's the market for that? You have to be so
Yeah. Yeah.
specific and stuff like that it's
Yeah.
very slim pickings. And so
Mm,
that's just another thing added to the table there.
yeah. Yeah. Maybe yeah, flip it and get that metal printer.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of that's kind of
Yeah.
what I was seeing. I mean, I can, we'll see. They are selling still on eBay for a decent amount and stuff. So, and if I'm getting this thing in full functioning order, then obviously that's even better. So,
Yeah. For sure. Hey, and that back to the supplements, the ashwagandha stuff is actually really good. I need to actually get some more of that. I was taking it for a little while and I ran out and just didn't think to get
sure,
any more yet, just how it
for
is. But
sure.
yeah, no, it's nice. I did notice a difference. It's like not like not more like drive, but it's just like I don't know. Just
It,
I'm like just
it
more
kind of
with
like
it, just mentally,
yeah, like
you
for
know.
me, it was like before me taking it, I felt myself like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, and then I'm trying all the stuff to be organized using like Google Assistant and just my calendar setups, even like, just trying to stick with certain stuff work related wise, using Copilot from Microsoft Teams and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
trying to stay organized and do all that. But I felt like I was 100 mile an hour, 30 different ways. And I was like, I have to figure something out. And so, believe it or not, I went to Copilot, and which that's one thing that I love Copilot. I love using Copilot. But I went to Copilot and just asking like, what are some natural stuff that I could do, what or take, and so
Yeah.
that was what it was recommended was
And,
this
and
ashwagandha. So
that I did the same exact thing basically with Chat GPT though. But my goal, my inspiration at the time, I was watching the Iron Man movies at the time. And I was like, okay, how can I build like a supplement stack that's like that will give me the energy and productivity of Tony Stark to be able to, program and develop for 3 days straight, and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. That
for sure.
obviously a pipe dream as far as that goes, but the it gave me some pretty good ideas and stuff, and like how to like actually stack stuff together and make things work together properly too. Like especially with the L-theanine and caffeine, like that alone will increase your productivity like two or three fold just because you're not like from the caffeine,
Yeah,
you know. So,
most definitely.
but yeah, no, it's AI is awesome. I love AI. I don't understand why people talk crap about it. It's so useful. It's
I
so
think that's
useful.
really just Hollywood, It's Hollywood. That's the problem. Like
Well,
Yeah, no,
Hollywood
they
has set the tone in the Terminator style, like it's gonna take over the world and ruin everything, and it's really not. Like
yeah,
it's such a tool. I think my only fear is that as long as everything stays kosher in the world, having that AI as a tool is great.
hmm,
But I also kind of fear it, like, for our generation too, is that like we grew up on the the search engines, right? Like prior to that, you had public libraries that you the best of knowledge that you could do. Otherwise, everything was learned by hand, hands on. But
yeah,
like, we use Google, for everything. And then that was a big thing, like, oh, don't just Google it, and now it's everywhere. You can't get away from it. And
yeah,
so on top of that, like with this AI and, with ChatGPT being like the main marketer, right? Like ChatGPT was the front man of it all. And then all these other companies, like, we're going to do the same thing. And, and so now it's everywhere. You've probably, I think there's like 8 different ones right now, or 7 different ones out there that are like the top
yeah.
10 that you can, and so I think just trying to utilize AI in everyday life, I think I will say that in the last 3 years, I'll just say 3 years, because in the last 3 years, AI has just exploded so much in such a
Oh
great
yeah.
way, I think, in the tech world in general. I mean, since we're talking about rockets and stuff, and there's a gentleman that I follow on YouTube, and I've been following his page. Let me see if I can't share that to you. Uh, but he went to recently to a company that shown uh, uh, them 3D printing those rockets, and
Hmm.
that has been such a big push on the internet and then TV. And the gentleman's name is his channel is called Integza, and
he's
Oh
great.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
he's
love
great.
that channel.
yes,
Yeah,
love that guy, right? So
yeah.
Is his
he goes
accent
there.
fake? Is he faking that, or is that his
No,
real?
he's
No,
Portuguese.
Oh,
Portuguese,
fantastic.
yeah, he's
Okay, yeah,
Portuguese,
Yeah.
so he's
great. God,
definitely.
like that guy is just
Yeah,
he's
that's
he's
just
awesome.
how those people are. That's
I
just
love
how
it.
Portuguese people are,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah, and actually, so in 22, I had gone to France. I did a little backpack tour, France through
Nice.
Switzerland, and I had reached out to him on Instagram, trying to meet up and do conversations with him and stuff. But at that time being, he couldn't do it. He responded, he couldn't do it because he was actually in London. So I was like, that was a missed
Oh,
opportunity.
hey,
If
we
I
need
didn't
to just
already
get
have
him
an
on here at
itinerary.
some point,
Right, yeah, absolutely. And missed opportunity, but that's okay.
man.
And but yeah, the company that he had gone and seen, I'm trying to think of their name, because he name drops them a couple of times, but it's a husband and wife that run this company. The wife is a rocket engineer, and her husband is an architect, and the two of them together run this company that, instead of it being like AI, and Integra does a great job talking about that in his episode, instead of that being like AI, where if you ask it a question on how to do something, it watches a buttload of videos and goes in and gives you like 30 different ways of how to do that. His example was like lighting a match. while this company developed a program where it goes in and dives into the material, what it all is, and then tells you what to do to light this match. And so it was really cool. So like I think right now they're on their fifth design for their rocket. They debut three of them in that video. And the first one that you see on that video, it literally just takes off like this super rocket on the first time launch too. So in this video, they just hooked up the hoses and everything. And what's crazy about it too is how intricate it gets in self-cooling with the liquid oxygen before it propels out, so it doesn't burn up. Because I think the majority of that material of the rocket is copper.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, so I
Oh,
think
I think I might have seen that. Yeah. The
you might have.
yeah, the copper remind. Yeah, I think I saw that. Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm trying to see if I can't find the company name. But the idea behind it, though, again, is like it goes in, it takes the ideas, you run it through a simulation, feed it a bunch of data again, and then it redesigns it again to make it more
Yeah.
efficient and better.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool how they're doing that.
Yeah. That's super cool. No, but it's literally like any day now. It's gonna be like the y'all seen the show The Expanse, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So you know the episode where the unfortunately named guy designs the new engine that they use, the Epstein drives.
Hmm.
Mm, hmm
Yeah,
hmm
yeah. So that episode where he's like, I was just making a couple of tweaks, and all of a sudden, you know, changes the human race.
Yep.
But it's literally I feel like we are on the cusp of something like that with like where we're going with AI, basically. Especially like I just saw like a AI designed 3D printed aerospike engine the other day that actually works. Like, bro, like
So
we're there.
I got some.
hmm
I've got some questions when it comes to some of that, and that is that well, I've noticed that from my own experience, and that's all I can really speak from. Coding, the AI agents are just damn good at it now compared to even just a few months
Oh,
ago.
dude,
They're just
yeah.
getting
Oh,
so
literally,
good.
yeah, literally, like Chat GPT 5.2 is leaps and bounds better than Chat GPT 5.
Right,
Like it's insane.
right. Um, I haven't been following other AI development outside of LLMs for language, LLMs for programming, things like that. So I don't know how well it designs. I don't know if you take an industrial design like a rocket engine, you see a lot of people, you see a lot of designs where they'd say, well, an AI designed this. And what they mean is airflow, things like that were designed by machine learning. Maybe
Yeah.
some portions of it were designed by combining other concepts, but it's not really an AI designing the whole thing. And I'm wondering
Yeah.
at what point that's going to happen. It could be It could be that could be now. That really could be. But right
We
now, I'm not
okay.
seeing
So
the
like,
same advances outside of programming and stuff that I'm seeing in the programming field.
yeah, yeah, that's a thing.
And I don't know.
Definitely a
Maybe
thing.
it is.
Huh. I mean, I guess it would come naturally that a computer program that can think would be better at programming, than other stuff. But
Well, I
it's
do
just
wonder, how much of this. So if we just go with the idea that all human creation is synthesis of other information you already have, right? And this is a
yeah,
theory. This isn't something that is a fact. But if you just base your reasoning on that concept, that people are really good at reassembling something that they've seen in the in terms of artistry, you often have artists who refer to their visual library, the things that they've seen and the things they've created. The more things they've been exposed to,
yeah,
the more they're able to create along a certain path. a lot of
Yeah.
concept art is talking about developing your internal library, visual library. So if you and you can look at diffusion models, right, of the diffusion models of AI and how they regenerate images based on prior images. I wonder if we'll see a 3D diffusion model that is honestly that, where it's taken 3D concepts and it has diffused them, and then it's rebuilding something from scratch using what it's found. I don't know if we have enough data because in order to do a good diffusion model, you have to have a lot of data. So you need a lot of 3D models. But I also don't know if
Yeah.
that's necessary if you also have an LLM that's guiding the logic behind the scenes.
See, and that's what I was about to bring up too. Is like if you implement an LLM as an agent in any system, literally any system, implement an LLM as an agent and give it like certain commands that can execute based on like stuff it's seeing, logic it, goes through all that kind of stuff. That's how I personally think that's how you really get these AI systems to get improved. Because then you're literally adding logic. You're
Right.
because the LLMs, okay, yeah, they're not actually using logic and blah blah blah. It's just calculations, all that. But the what it's based on, how like language and all that stuff is literally logic. You have to use logic to put a sentence together, and so just literally just even if it's not using logic itself per se, what it's outputting is logical. And so, yeah, you can literally use it as a logic engine, basically.
Let's talk about that for a
And
second. I know why you're trying. I know that you're trying to basically say that the AIs aren't really using logic because everyone's saying the same thing right now. Everyone's saying that these aren't really thinking; they're really just regurgitating. It's just
mhm.
a
and
typing
I had
engine, that
something
kind
to
of
add to
thing.
this right
Okay,
after you finish, by the way.
okay, yeah, and a lot of people think that that's all these LLMs are, and maybe let's pretend that that's true, 100% true. Let's say that
Yeah,
that's all it is. Whatever the hell
yeah,
it is, it works. Whatever it is, if we're
hmm
saying this isn't really logic, looks exactly like logic to me. It makes the same logical
yeah, oh yeah,
decisions that I
oh
could.
yeah,
So if it's not
exactly,
logic, it's sure as hell doing something right. So
exactly. And oh,
yeah, I
go
was
ahead.
just gonna, maybe it's not logic. Maybe it's not. I have no clue, but I can tell you that it makes better decisions than it did a year ago. So
Yeah,
how does it matter? I mean, it seems to be logical to me. So that's all that
yeah,
matters to me is it faking it well enough? It is to me. So yeah, I think it's logic, whether you call it logic
yeah.
or something else. I just think, yeah,
Well, it's what the stuff it learns is literally based in logic. Language is based in logic.
yes,
The stuff you say is based on reason. You're not going to say something without a reason to say it. And so, what you're going to say is going to be, logical. It's going to
yep.
be reason, et cetera, et cetera. And but yeah, the, I made a post about my robot. I came up with a way to give my robot for anyone watching this. I have a robot that is powered by an LLM, and it like literally the LLM controls like everything about the robot. The LLM is the robot essentially. So I came up with a way to use the LLM to create this internal monologue, like a inner
Hmm.
voice for the robot itself. And you got the inner voice loop that's just kind of going constantly, and then you have the action loop, which every so often it gets input, and then every so often it outputs like a motor control or command or something. But essentially they're moving together, and then like the thoughts come into the action loop, and then the actions go into the thought loop. Uh, but yeah, they're both doing their own independent thing, and so this robot is literally having its own thoughts internally. It is literally having sentences run through its its hardware, its brain, that are only seen by it and control how it outputs, it control how it lives its life, essentially, So, I came up with that design and I posted about it, and I had uh, at least two or three people that were like, AI can't have its own thoughts, blah, 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 blah. They're just recreations of, like, whatever. But it's like, for one, you're not even like understanding what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the loop itself, the independent loop. And then two, if all AI is a recreation of everything it's seen, well, that's all you are too. So, because
Well, and I
you're
don't
a
know if,
recreation of everything you've seen, plus uh, what your genetics rewired your brain to
yeah.
have.
Tony, did you have something
That's
you
it.
wanted to add there? I didn't know if I was. Tony, did you have something you wanted to say there? Or, no, no?
No, no,
Okay, all right.
I was just agreeing with that too. Like,
Yeah. So here's my
Mm-hmm.
before LLMs came along, um, there we could talk about AI without everyone freaking out. And so I did this,
Yeah.
and a lot of the stuff that I've done is robotics, but a lot of it's video games. And there's a whole lot of overlap. In fact, some of the video games I've done were specifically to justify spending the time trying to come up with the algorithms for the robots. So, especially non-player characters. And so one of the games I did was for Dinosaur George's traveling fossil show thing, and I did a museum that you go through and you unlock things in the museum, and dinosaurs come to life and they do stuff. At one part, you
That's
are chasing a bunch of little baby dinosaurs around, and I wanted to have realistic kind of movements for the creatures. So, and this was again an excuse to go do robotic stuff. So, I introduced a thing, and there's video of this on YouTube of a thing called a stochastic AI, which is an AI that doesn't know anything about the environment it's in ahead of time. It's learning it as it's in the environment. So I could literally take one of the characters, one of the little dinosaurs, drop it into a 3D room, and as it would run around, it would start mapping out things in its head and go, oh, I could hide here. I can jump over this. If it encounters something at a certain angle, it knows it can climb certain
uh,
angles, that kind of thing. Well, that's all based on basically the kind of the way that theoretically that part of the of bugs, I'm not going to say which bug, but a gross bug um, and it experiences its environment and interacts with it. There are these etymology studies that showed this. And so when I was designing this, I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if I could just implement that? And so one of the later things in the video is showing the same thing where I drop a bunch of these bugs on top of a little mountainside, and it shows them running around, and they sense the edge and they know it's dangerous and they stay away from it. None of that's pre-scripted. None of that's based on navigation meshes or anything like that. It's all stochastic AI where they are experiencing and processing thoughts about the world around them. It's not LLM AI. It's not. Um, it's a very specific type of AI. But the thing is, nowadays, when you say AI, immediately everyone's like, "Oh, well, that can only be an LLM, and therefore it can
yeah,
only be text-based, and it can't run
yeah,
anything in the real world. It can't have a loop. It is just words in a sentence." And it's unfortunate because there's a whole lot of stuff that a lot of direction. Well, I mean, it's unfortunate
yeah,
that people think those things and then their brain shuts down because if you're willing to
yeah.
just work with it for a minute, you can come up with some magical stuff. Like your robotic
Oh,
design, for example, is perfect. That's exactly how you do it now.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's simple, but it's like literally a actual recreation of how our own inner voice works. It's just
Yeah.
a
So
loop.
And that
You
that
know,
gets
like
into the whole thing with executive function, and we're kind of going back to the brain drugs here. But when you're when you think about yourself as a mind, and you've got the subconscious and everything else, it's almost more like the mind is the frontal, the mammalian brain is kind of like the thing that was tacked on last. Like, you normally navigate the world without consciously thinking through everything,
yeah,
and
oh
so
yeah,
you really only occasionally need to use the big brain to look around and go, oh,
hey,
this is a bad idea, you know?
that's exactly how my robot works too. Like
Yeah,
it literally uses the LLM to choose a mode to go into, like follow person or look for object, et cetera, et cetera. And then once it's in a mode, it's just following its sensor readings and stuff
yeah.
like that. The LLM can still see what it's doing, but the LLM's not making decisions at that point.
I think it's the right way to do it.
So,
I'm
yeah,
interested to see where
yeah.
that
I mean,
goes.
it's the only way I can see how to replicate it, you know,
Yeah.
as far as for a robot, anyways.
I just wish you hadn't added that
Well,
thing where it hunts down human flesh. I think that was a bad idea. I think the quest for
well,
blood was not a necessary thing to add it that early. But you do you, man.
someone
So
someone had to do it.
yeah,
If not me, it would have been way
that's right.
worse from someone else. But hey, guys, this has been awesome. I think we got something here.
I think so. I
Yeah,
think so.
I agree.
So, yeah.
Next time I want to talk about
Thanks
that
for
gun
watching,
rack behind
everyone.
Tony's desk there.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we'll
Oh,
do
Well,
next time.
you've got some pretty impressive kit back there. All right, cool.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you.
Anyone
Yeah,
that's watching this in the future, yeah, thanks for watching. This is the Three Technoteers. So we'll be doing this on a hopefully weekly basis. We'll see how that
awesome.
works out. So,
Right.
Sounds good to me.
yeah,
See you guys.
peace, guys, and peace, everyone else.